Yeah, and then you're going into massive debt in the United States.
Oh yeah, the United States is crazy.
For what? A vanity metric? It's ridiculous. Google, big companies don't even care that you've gone to college.
Yeah.
Now, like it's not even an important part of their calculus in hiring anymore.
Welcome to the HighKey CLOUT podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Jordan Lintz. And I'm Luke Lintz. And this show is all about the clout.
It's all about
this
the clout.
This is where we talk about social media, business, and current culture with the cloutiest people on social media today.
Now, before we introduce today's guest, make sure you're subscribed wherever you're listening to or watching this. That's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, and go to our Instagram because we are always doing giveaways at HighKey CLOUT. Let's introduce today's guest.
So today on the podcast is Clayton Morris, one of the biggest clients of HighKey, ex-Fox News anchor, and he obtained financial freedom through real estate investing, and now is teaching others to do the exact same thing. So without further ado, we introduce Clayton Morris.
Boom! Let's go.
HighKey CLOUT podcast.
It's all about the clout.
Okay.
All right, Clayton, welcome to the HighKey CLOUT podcast. Great to have you on.
Hey, thanks guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Clayton, on this podcast, we normally talk as a central point about social media, but I want to start off by talking about your history as an anchor on Fox News, just right off the bat. How was that?
Well, it was, it's what I always dreamed of doing was working in broadcast television since I was young. So I would sneak downstairs when my parents thought I was in bed and watch, Carson and David Letterman, and sort of David Letterman was my idol as a kid. So being able to move around the country as a small market reporter and news anchor making no money, and Helena, Montana, and then West Virginia, and then Ohio, and then Florida, and then eventually getting to the network, after about 11 years of that. So then I spent about 10 years at the network anchoring, one of the number one shows in morning news. It was amazing. I would get to interview presidents and senators and people that I admired tremendously growing up. And it was crazy to me and have to pinch myself. And then after a time, I said, okay, I think I've done this. And I had that entrepreneurial spirit and, started building my own business. And I said, I don't want to get up at 3:30 in the morning anymore and report on other people's lives. I'm not helping really anybody. And so if I can help people through my own company, empower them in that way, then that's a better use of my time. And so that's when I decided to leave. But it was great while it lasted. I loved it.
Yeah.
And it definitely started with like the passion, because you said you made no money like the first 11 years, was it?
Well,
it was more about like you love to do it, and you're the aspiration of like hosting the big Fox News
channel. Yeah, I just loved, that's why I have a YouTube channel now. That's why, because I love I love the medium of broadcasting. So I would used to tape David Letterman. If I missed it, I had whole cassette tapes in a wall in my basement. And I was obsessed with like comedians. And I would love when he would turn the camera around on his camera crew and his cue card guy, and he'd make fun of them and have fun with it. And I thought, he's like using the medium of broadcasting in a way that no one had ever done before. And I love that. So yeah, those first few years, making $23,000 living in Helena, Montana, my apartment rent was more than I was making at my job every month.
Oh, wow.
So I was, I was going into debt, but I loved it. I loved I just love the mechanism of broadcasting to communicate. So you have to have that passion. Otherwise you're going to fizzle out,
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely right. I mean, like doing what you love over money is always the right move.
Right.
That's awesome. So now you're doing real estate investing, obtaining financial freedom, and teaching others to obtain financial freedom. How does that all work?
So, while I was at the network, I was anchoring the news. You think that, you've got a cushy job, you're making great money. But the fact of the matter is most of those people are pretty dumb when it comes to their money. I too was stupid with my money as a news anchor.
What does that mean? What does that mean, stupid? Like, explain
just in terms
some
of
stupid
wealth, probably.
use of money.
Well, you're so busy focused on like your high-powered career that you then think that putting money in a 401k retirement plan, because it's kind of a set it and forget it option for you.
401k.
is great. Like that's a smart move, and it's not. And the problem is, like, you talk to any dentist. Okay. We've at my company, we've worked with so many dentists. I don't know what it is, but they're awful. Doctors, love you. You're great saving lives, but you're terrible at managing your money. They work all day. They want something easy. So they just put their money in, some, ETFs and retirement accounts. And then they're subject to the volatility of the stock market. So I was the same way, I just, once I lost my job in Philadelphia, I said, I'm not going to work for somebody else where I am not in control of my own destiny anymore. And the way to do that is to have enough cash flow coming in every month from performing assets. And you simply don't get that from other vehicles. And you can get that from some things if you do dividends and things like that in the stock market. Yeah. And if you're one of those day traders that sits in front of a computer screen all day and you manipulate stocks with in 1 second here, 1 second
or like
there.
Forex trading
right.
too.
If you're good at that, great, good for you. Most people are not. And to me, real estate investing was a tangible way of owning an asset that was a hedge against inflation. It was a way of having monthly cash flow from tenants in the property. I could save on my taxes. And every month I would have enough that I could leave my day job and didn't have to rely on someone else telling me what I could and couldn't do. So, news anchors, I knew many of them when I left Fox. There were so many news anchors that told me, they said, I want to do what you're doing.
Wow.
They pulled me aside during commercial breaks during my last day. My weather guy did. I had another one of our female co-hosts did, and said, I wish I could do this. I just don't know what to do. So they're working, making great money, but they don't have these performing assets in place. So I guess that's what I mean with being stupid with your money. It's just you're banking on these retirement vehicles, which are collapsing right now, and they're not a good way to build wealth.
So is that always the wrong answer? Or is the 401k always the wrong answer? Or is there ever a situation where you should do that?
Well, look, 401k is fine if you get a company match, right? So if your company matches, you can put in 6%, up to 6%, and your company is going to give you some free money. Fine, but make sure it's in smart funds, because if you're just throwing it into the stock market, there's so many people, my friends, so many people that got wiped out, that had their money in a 401k and they were about to retire. And then 2007 happened and they lost all of their retirement money because the stock market shifted. Yeah. So, and then 10 years later they said, I'm back. I bounced back to where I was before the crash. Yippee. To me, I say, are you crazy? That means you just lost 10 years.
10 years of using that money. Using that money to make money. Yeah.
So to answer your question, 401k is fine, small piece of it. But the creator of the 401k has admitted that it was never meant to be on its own as a solo form of retirement. It was meant to be an addition to pensions. And it was never meant to stand on its own. Well, pensions have all but collapsed. Yeah. And the 401k is not meant to stand on its own. So people can unlock their 401k by borrowing from it. Most people don't even know you can do that. Most people think that that's a withdrawal and then you're going to get a penalty, but it's not. You can actually borrow from it as a loan, not a penalty, and then you can buy an investment property, and then you pay it back. You pay your 401k back out of your payroll, right? And now you pay it back fully. Now you have an investment property that you paid for out of your own retirement funds. And most people don't even know you can do that, and they get scared about it, and they tell you that you should never do that, that's crazy advice. That's total garbage. That's how I bought my first few rental properties.
Yeah. And your financial,
that's a pro tip.
Yeah. And your financial freedom strategy is pretty simple. It's just getting on Excel, talking about all your expenses going out, all your money going out, and then figuring out how many houses you need to counteract that money going out.
And so you're right. And I sidestepped that question a little bit, because when I was at Fox, I was still not doing things correctly, my first few years there. And then I ended up started investing in real estate, but it wasn't until I was up for my contract renewal, my second or third year, where every time you're up for a contract renewal, you're only as good as your most recent contract. In TV, they could say you're not young enough. Who knows, right?
I remember us talking about this.
And so it's a scary time. And my wife and we were in my basement office, and she said, what if, because at this point, I think we had 2 rental properties. They were doing about $900 a month in cash flow each. So $1,800 a month. And if you back out your expenses and stuff, you're making like $1,200-1,300 a month, right?
Mhm.
And she said, well, what if we had enough of those where we didn't have to go through this anxiety every time your contract is up for renewal? And I just got this eureka moment. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go back to doing laundry. I'm like, no, you're not. And I jumped up on my whiteboard and I said, this is it. Like, this is the answer. And then that was the night that our financial freedom number idea was sort of born, which is, what are your monthly expenses? Let's reverse engineer it. Let's figure out how much you need to keep the lights on every month so you can run your family, your grocery bill, your gas bill, your mortgage, whatever it is, your rent payment, the little extra things you like to do, go out to eat, Netflix, not have to shrink your life so much. But how do you have enough passive income coming in every month that covers it? So yeah, we built our freedom cheat sheet, which we give away on our website for free. So if anyone wants to download it, you can grab it at morrisinvest.com/freedom.
We'll link that down below too.
Yeah. Very good.
Cool.
Okay, now let's get into what the podcast is all about. That's social media.
Social media.
Yeah. You've accumulated quite the following on Instagram. You have a good YouTube following.
Crazy YouTube and Instagram following.
Yeah.
Twitter following. He has 100,000 followers.
Plus 100K across the board. What about TikTok, Clayton? Have you've started TikTok and you will be at 100K on that platform as well soon.
It's a matter of time.
I hope so. Yeah. I know. I mean,
it's gonna happen.
You and I have talked. It's just about like, okay, how can we look? All signs are, TikTok is exploding. It's already exploded.
It is.
Yep.
So, if you're not on there, I want it. At the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, I think, when it comes to social media, how can I have the biggest impact to the audience that I'm hoping to reach? So for me, I want to be able to speak to young people about their finances. If I could get, 13-year-olds to subscribe to my TikTok channel where I'm talking about how to build wealth correctly and not go into debt when they get to college.
Huge. That's
huge, right?
Yeah.
If I would have stumbled across something like this when I was 15 and didn't go into credit card debt, maybe didn't even go to college because I could get a higher return on my investment from becoming my own business or something else, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would have been huge. So I think it's important. People get so excited about all these different social media platforms. But I think it's got to speak to you the right way. Can you have a big impact? And I think TikTok for me, Instagram for sure. Obviously, we've seen an amazing response on Instagram. And I see people tagging like a friend in a post, like, hey, you've got to watch this. This is what I was talking about the other night. You've got to watch this.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. Like, that's a conversation online.
Word of mouth. That's
so
the most powerful referral.
Right, exactly. So they're saying to their spouse, honey, this guy is saying, we were talking about sending our kids to college. This guy is saying, well, you shouldn't. watch this,
Actually, I dropped out of college my third year at University of Winnipeg here, and it was largely inspired by, it wasn't because of Gary Vee, but it was largely inspired. He was going so hard talking about leave. And we were just starting up our e-commerce company, selling wireless earbuds. And I was like, okay, you know what? I see the numbers coming in. I see we can do definitely online stuff going forward. And I just left and put all my time into it.
And I never went to college.
Yeah, Luke never went.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And look, I mean, I think to me in the TV world, I didn't really learn about television until I was doing it. Until I was out of college. Yes, I went and got a broadcast journalism degree and I got a history degree. The history degree actually served me better contextually on TV than the stuff I learned in some of these professors who now in hindsight probably never worked a day in their life in a TV studio. Mm-hmm. And I had to figure it out on my own. And by being out there in the field with a camera and being in these studios, that's how I learned how to do television. That's how you learn, right? If you're going to build a business, start it now. And so many of these teachers, you want to be an accountant, you're probably being taught by someone who's never been an actual accountant.
It's ridiculous. It makes no sense that these teachers aren't practitioners.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're going into massive debt in the United States.
Oh yeah, the United States is crazy.
For what? A vanity metric? It's ridiculous. Google, big companies don't even care that you've gone to college.
Yeah.
Now, it's not even an important part of their calculus in hiring anymore.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's very true. So getting back onto social media, I want to hear about exactly how you started on social media. Where were you? What kind of posts were you posting? Yeah.
I think it went back to, it was MySpace, but I didn't really do much on MySpace back in the day. I think it was Facebook when I worked on a TV show, a nationally syndicated morning show called The Daily Buzz. And we were on in about 126 markets across the country. Small, fun, wacky morning show. And we had it was nascent at the time. So I started a Facebook account. I was interacting with viewers who would watch the show and would post some of my stuff, commentary and different things like that on Facebook. But I guess I didn't realize the power of it until a little bit later when Twitter came around. And I was not an early adopter, but I was there early in the Twitter world. And I remember being on Fox I was the first person at Fox News Channel to have a Twitter account. And I was also the first person. I led people on the show during the morning. I taught the country on that show that morning how to set up their Twitter account so they could interact with our show. So we did like a 5-minute segment where over my shoulder, I showed people where to go to twitter.com to sign up and then how to @reply us. And so my following because of that exploded to 100,000 people after that. Twitter for me is stagnated.
Yeah.
I guess it still moves the needle a little bit. I'm not sure we can talk about this, but how much it's actually moving the needle. I do know that when I do some posts, we'll get some interaction with links and people coming for things, but I don't really use it as much anymore. But that was my start. Twitter was a great way, and it was a really powerful way for us to interact with the viewers of that show. We were on in front of 2 million people every morning. And so if someone was savvy enough to kind of come on and use a hashtag, I remember I started a segment one time called I don't know, it was hashtag morning cup of coffee or what are you drinking or something. I don't know what it was.
Totally.
But I mentioned it on the air and that hashtag just exploded that morning.
Did it trend? And it trended?
It started trending and people were posting pictures of whatever they were drinking, a cup of coffee, watching our show. So
that's amazing.
Holding a mug of coffee and I'm like, what are you drinking? And they were like, hot cocoa. And you could see me on the TV in the background and with my co-host.
That's awesome.
It was really cool. It was cool to see that.
That's great. Well, what about Instagram? When did you start Instagram?
I think, probably about 5, 6. Well, when did it start? It was not, I probably got onto it probably a year and a half too late, which is the mistake I didn't want to make with TikTok, got on it a little too late. And at the time, as you guys had advised me and taught me, really, it's not about having just random photos of your dog or whatever, but actually having a strategy around it for social. And, I just used to post random things, walking through a city in Philadelphia, take a picture of the Liberty Bell or, we are here today. Maybe I'll occasionally post in a video.
Like a lifestyle, kind of a lifestyle personal page you had. And when we started and you had I believe 23,000, something around there, something around low 20,000 followers. Mm-hmm. And now it's over 200.
Yeah, over 200,000, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
And now we have a strategy around content,
Totally.
And that's what I had been searching for. I wanted to have sort of a unified way of getting videos out there and getting messages out there about building wealth and reaching the right audience. So it started with just sort of the vanity, or I didn't know quite how to use it. I love photography. So I thought, well, this is a great way of just being able to take that great photo of that palm tree and post it.
And it did start as a picture posting platform. Instagram started with no videos. It was just pictures.
Right.
And then it got taken over by Facebook. Facebook bought it, and now there's IGTV, and it's just crazy. There's long form content capabilities on IG. Yeah, on IG now.
Yeah. I mean, so the video component, and then being able to take what we're doing on our YouTube channel and repurposing it in the right ways for a totally different audience. The people that are watching on my Instagram are probably not watching my YouTube. And the same thing with my podcast. My podcast, the reason I started YouTube, I had my podcast was really successful, my Investing in Real Estate podcast. But then I realized I should do something completely different on YouTube. And it was reaching a totally different audience when I launched that channel. And that's still the case.
Definitely. Definitely. So yeah, so you're constantly growing on social media. You have great audiences across all the platforms. How have you used it to leverage it to achieve your goals?
Well, I think the big mistake is to not be interacting with people. So one thing I learned about with Twitter early on was I was constantly replying people. I would tell people on the air, hey, if you're watching, send me a message on Twitter. I'm at Clayton Morris. I will respond.
Mm-hmm.
And I would right there during commercial breaks. And then when I launched our YouTube channel, I think one of the things I wish I could do more interacting is on the podcast. It's just very difficult to do it. And so with the YouTube channel, with comments, every comment got some sort of an interaction from me, even if it was just, I liked what you said, I heart what you say,
Yeah.
But people will ask all kinds of deep, real estate investing questions on our YouTube channel. And I jump in there and try to answer as many as we can. And I don't think one comment goes by without an answer or a reply if we can.
That's huge.
And then the same thing is true on Instagram.
That's really important.
So if you're growing your Instagram account, you're posting content, and then people are asking you questions on there about, well, I heard you can't get a 401k with this, or can I get a loan with this thing? You better jump in and answer it. Here's someone taking time out of their day on a piece of content that you posted about real estate investing, and they're asking a question about real estate investing. You should answer that. Otherwise, you're just doing it for vanity, I think. So I think that's been a key part for us. And then some of those people have converted into clients with us and longtime fans. So it's been really important.
Yeah. And I think another great way to connect with the audience would definitely be starting to go Instagram Live more.
We moved not too long ago, and I used to do a dedicated every Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. live stream on YouTube. And it was really, we had hundreds of people every week join us because they expected it. We would send out an email blast ahead of time, et cetera. And I kind of got away from that. I've got a super 4K streaming computer and the whole setup. And then, I don't know what's going on with live. So let me ask you, you guys are the experts. How do you see, where do you see the live platforms going? Do you see Instagram Live as
Instagram Live is huge. It's the number one. Instagram Live number one. You can go live on TikTok. I think you can go live on Facebook. Yeah, you can go live on all platforms, but Instagram's definitely the best. Yeah, it's so good.
Instagram is the best, and we found it so simple to actually connect with people in terms of bringing other people on. Mm-hmm. Where especially with your brand, where you could bring other people on who have questions, very specific questions, and then you could film that footage with a DSLR.
Are you talking about when they request to go live with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So your followers can request to go live. Anyone interested, you could go live on a certain topic. Actually, yeah, we should talk about it. This should be like a mini meeting right now. You could go live once a week on a certain topic and then invite your fans in to talk to you about it, face to face. You'll also get more live viewers. Yeah. It's basically it's a seminar. It's like a seminar. You'll get 50 to 60 people in there, maybe 100.
Yeah, because the crazy thing with Instagram Live is when you go live with somebody else, it notifies all of their followers that they're going live. So you enter somebody else in, then you're reaching all of their followers. So it's a strategy. Yeah, it's a strategy.
And it alerts them. It alerts them. So if you go live with someone of your following or more or a little less, the live will just get boosted hugely.
Yeah.
Wow. So let me ask you, because I'm intrigued. And I've had great success with Instagram Live in the past, so I agree with you.
It's still hot.
Is there a strategy around sort of naming the show? Is it just is it impromptu, or is it something that you're letting them know that you're going to do it? Maybe it's an Instagram story that says, "Hey, at 2 p.m. Eastern today, I'm going to go live."
Yeah, that's amazing. And you could set a countdown reminder. So there's a countdown feature. It's actually amazing too, because you can set a countdown with the topic. It counts down to what you're going to do, whatever. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be live, but in this case, it's live. And it'll allow your fans to set the reminder and turn it on, and it'll alert them saying, Clayton's going live on this topic. Boom, they pop to your page. They see that you're live because you honored the time.
And then in terms of the topic, you could put the topic in the countdown timer, and then you could also.
And this is all in the story.
This would be the story, the countdown timer.
And then also the topic, you can put, what we do is when we go live, we have a copy and paste in our notes section. We paste it over, comment it, first time immediately once we go live, and then you can pin the comment. And then that's like the topic of the show. That's what it could be.
Yeah,
and then,
so it'll be at the bottom of your live screen.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, you're blowing my mind with this. I need to do this.
Yeah, we can talk more about it later for sure. Instagram Live,
Yeah.
definitely the right move. It's like a seminar. It's like you're holding your own private class.
And a major thing is you're so well connected, Clayton. So like if you're able to get other big names or other verified people on your show, it notifies all of them like of you going live. Like that's how you get a lot of really engaged people.
Like I know you're close with Gary Vee and Louis Howe's. If you went live with one of them, like you would have like probably over 1,000 people in that live.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, all right, I'm going to do that. I'll reach out to Gary. I'll reach out to Lewis and say, hey, come on, let's do a show together.
Let's do a live show. Yes. Let's say let's do a live show. That's amazing. Yeah. Definitely do that, Clayton.
So go live and then they pop into your stream and then you just bring them on camera, right? You just tap
it immediately goes in. Yeah, they're going to request to go live and it'll be in the bottom feature. We can talk more about it later. Just make sure you got it.
Yeah, no, this is great. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to.
Yeah, so now let's talk about the future of social media. So we're constantly brainstorming ideas of like what happens in social media in the future. We want to hear your thoughts of what you think is going to go down with social media, maybe specific platforms or just social media as a whole in the next like 5+ years.
Well, I think augmented reality, I think that's going to be huge. We're already seeing, obviously, the hardware is the first to go, right? So we're already seeing what Apple has done with the major advancements in AR, and of course some of the other companies as well. But look, Apple has like stolen away people from other companies because of their experience with machine learning and with augmented reality and virtual reality. So I think that's going to be a huge, interesting play, even more so than we've already seen with Snapchat and things that you can put hats on people and dog faces. Like there's going to be all kinds of additional things that I think will be exciting.
Totally.
I think it's going to be interesting to. I know we keep hearing about voice, and I swear my kids just, if they didn't have the power of being able to dictate into the YouTube on the television to be able to tell to tell the device, Apple TV, what show they want to watch or what thing that they want to do just by voice input is incredibly powerful. My son, who plays piano, he's 9 years old. So he'll sit there and use Simply Piano. He'll use other things on YouTube, and he'll just tap the little microphone thing and do a search for how to play, My Life by Billy Joel or whatever, and that just pops right up. So voice input is going to be incredibly huge. I think there's still a lot of space and innovation that's going to have to take place, and I think it'd be really interesting to watch who's able to maybe innovate in the podcast space. Because to me, it just feels like, while I love podcasting, it feels like there's so much opportunity there to innovate in a way. And I don't know what that's going to be, but I feel like there's something, and I don't know if it's going to be, some sort of a live interaction feature. There's going to be an ability to do more with search with podcasts rather than them just being sort of simple RSS feeds. And really at the heart, that's still what they are, right? They're just an RSS feed with some rich data. So I think there could be some real innovation there because look, I'll tell you what's happening in Hollywood. You see it, right? You already see what's happening in Hollywood. A lot of the major producers in Hollywood are looking at podcasts first for content before they become a television show.
Wow.
So, and they're actually shopping a lot of podcast creators for content, and then they turn them into look, Dirty John. I mean, the list goes on and on right now. So I think there's going to be some innovation in that space because there's a lot of money behind it. And now we're seeing Apple throw their weight again more behind original content for podcasts. So I don't know. I think we're just going to continue to see these platforms evolve. I wouldn't be surprised if we see TikTok try to overtake Instagram, and that gets pushed out. I think these things just keep evolving. I'd actually be curious to see how some of the sort of old media tries to survive in the future. I want to see how cable news, my old home used to, is that going to totally crumble? Oh, yeah. Or will there be some really interesting innovation in the cable news or cable television space that will make us all want to go back to getting a cable box again? So I don't know, but I'm curious to see where this landscape is going as we're paying for all these streaming services, Disney, Netflix, on and on and on, right?
Yeah. What I'd really like to see with podcasts is I find it very hard with podcasts to find on Google. So I'd like to see Google partner with a huge platform like Apple or another podcasting platform, collaborate with them, and then have it very easily accessible from Google itself.
That's true.
Where you can search up, you can search up a person's podcast, and like YouTube videos, it comes up where it's streamed right at the top, and it's like podcast episodes immediately. Like that would be a game changer.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying, because we saw Apple do something slightly. They helped it a little bit. They've added like podcast, creator pictures now to the page. So I don't know if mine's updated yet or not, but have a face, a little circle face. And then if there are guests on your show, so let's say I had Lewis Howes on my show, because he's also a creator that Apple recognizes, his face pops up there in the directory now, which is a little bit of a search, but nowhere near the level of what you're talking about. And it makes it very difficult for creators, because we want to be able to track, hey, I ran an ad and this person started listening to my podcast because I ran an ad. You can't really do that yet.
Exactly.
I mean, you can try to do it in a roundabout way, but wouldn't it be great to be able to put some money behind your content and know that it's actually having an effect? So I think whoever can innovate in the podcast space in this way, maybe it's Google, maybe it's Apple, could really do us a great service, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd also love to be able to put money behind in order to get podcast subscribers. Because like there's not that many avenues. It's kind of like a long shot where you just
got to pull it organically from your audience.
You just pull it organically, like promoting it through your already established social media platforms. But what if somebody wants to start up a podcast from nothing?
Right.
Then,
I mean, I've done ads on Overcast, the app for the iPhone. My friend Marco Arment, who created Overcast, he created an ad platform, which was really smart. So I've run a bunch of ads reaching out to that audience through my podcast. And I've definitely you can see it. You can see the number of subscribers that you get from running ads on his platform, which is great. If Apple could do that, oh man.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be huge. There'd be a lot of money going there.
Yeah.
A lot of people want to start up a podcast.
Yeah.
All right, Clay, last question before we go to the audio only rapid fire question segment. Are you familiar with the term clout? It's actually an old term. It's an old term. Early 1900s is where it was first defined.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Not clout with a K, right? Clout was the platform that later came, right? Clout with a C, right?
Clout with a C. Yep.
CLOUT.
Yeah. So we want you to define clout, and then we're gonna tell you the definition afterwards.
From the 1930s.
From the 1930s. Wow. Well, I think clout is a person's ability to connect with people at a human or social level. So whether it's at a party, this person has clout walking into the room where everyone looks over their shoulder and turns and says hi, or it's the person who, when someone writes a newspaper article about them, they're going to pay attention to that person. So that, I guess that's kind of what I would think it would be. What's the real definition?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's definitely right. Like, everyone who comes on and defines clout, like, it's all right. And then it's just, like, specifically, it's influence and power, specifically in business and politics.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It does.
Because what else is there without business and politics?
Right. Yeah, right. And then influence and power. So it's like the higher scale. Like, it all makes sense. Like, your definition works. Every guest that we've had that's defined it all works. And then it's just, there's the very specific definition.
There's nothing else.
We were actually so surprised when we looked it up. When we just started this podcast, we were like, we looked it up. We're like, holy crap, early 1900s.
Yeah, it's true. There's nothing else without business and politics.
Yeah. We thought it was fascinating too. We're like, that's amazing. That's perfect. Okay, well, thank you for coming on, Clayton. This is the audio only version. So we're taking this over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, audio only version. See you later, YouTube. Audio only version. Go subscribe. Subscribe where you're watching right now. Audio only version, rapid fire questions with Clayton Morris.